Yo, party people in the place to be. What's good? Good Sunday morning. What's good with you? I'm your man's Uncle Freezie, co-host of Old School Knicks. Let's get this party started, man. Let's get this week off on the right foot. Let me bring in our guy, the Old School Knicks expert. New York City area's own Knicks universe star, Lawrence Tears legend, Anthony D. Let's go. What's good, AD? What's good?
I almost started looking behind me for a second. I didn't know you was talking about the kid. Good morning, Uncle Freezie. How you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning, Nick Nation, and so forth. Everybody out there in the chat, good morning. It's good to be seen. It's good to be with you again on another Old School Sunday, the realest morning show to kick your week off. We're sorry we're a little late this morning, but we had some technical difficulties.
Yeah, but we
here. We here. We always gonna be here. What's up, Freezie?
Hey man, listen. I was interested as I was doing the prep work for the show, bro. I did about.
Hold on 1 second, Freeze. Hold on. I just want to say something. The intro, fire. The new intro, fire. Absolutely.
We trying to entertain and educate, bro. That's how you be successful at this.
Represent the tri-state where we from. Absolutely.
Bro, we are entertaining and educating at the same time. Karen Fung, what's good? Mr. Vince, what's good? We see y'all. Our future media is in the building. What's good with you? We see you. Chuck Allen, the producer of the intro track, what's good?
Chuck.
What's good, Chuck? Oh, Cully is in the building. What's good? What's good, Cully?
Cully with the puppies.
Jones, what's good? So, hey, Canal Ben Lawyer, I see you. What's good? So what I want to do is just real quick is watch AD get in his bag, right? I'm just as much as a fan of the show as y'all, right? And I'm ready to see AD get in his bag. And sometimes it takes, a little nudging, like, hey, So AD, sir, your franchise, the one you root for, home team, is a disaster, right?
Absolutely.
The sad part to this, though, is they're not a new disaster. We've been kind of like this for a while. What I want you to do, AD, as a lifelong Knicks fan that has been through a lot of downs and some ups as a Knicks fan, is to discuss how you feel about being a Knicks fan today, knowing what the past was like. I'm interested in hearing that.
Well, Knicks fans, as we take this journey every Sunday, and it's fitting it happens on a Sunday. In case y'all wondering, while I'm wearing this all black right here. Before the show started, my main vein, Uncle Freezie, in the easy, told me I should not preach. Now, as I put on my reverence collar here this morning, okay, Make sure my shit is straight. Make
Bim,
sure my
Bim.
stuff is straight. I'm gonna ask everybody to give a moment of silence for our dear departed New York Knicks. F that.
He playing taps.
They dead. let me help y'all out. They dead. After having probably the best first half that they've had all season, going back to game 1 or game 2, they somehow spit the bit. I think, what? Randall had 32. RJ had 36, something like that. Yeah. They scored like 70-something points in the first half. They're done. They're finished against a Lakers team that hasn't found their sea legs all season in that god-awful Minneapolis Lakers blue that they were wearing last. I don't even understand why. I don't even understand why teams do this. Side note, take a look at the Yankees, right? The pinstripes have always been just the pinstripes because we classy like that. But anyway, back to regular programming.
Those uniforms, oh God.
God awful. George Mikan is like, yo, why did they bring these back out?
Why would you wear purple and sky blue?
Awful. They just, anyway.
Purple and AD. Can I just help? Can I just
come in?
Why would somebody wear purple and sky blue together in that combination, bro?
Because it's like when you see OGs or older dudes want to wear tight jeans.
Oh boy.
You ever seen that? Shout out to my brother who was, feeling like he should wear tight jeans like 2 years ago before somebody stopped him.
he just wanted to try it. He just wanted to try it.
He looked like sausage in a blanket.
oh God.
Anyway, shout out to Mark. That's my little brother, big Knicks fan. Even though he don't want to act like it anymore, but that's a whole nother story. That's why sometimes people always want to change what's tried and true. You understand? And with a couple of years ago, the league started doing that nonsense with the burnt orange and the burnt yellows and all these to draw more interest or to sell more merchandise or whatever. Does it really? I don't have the inside numbers on that. I don't know if they sell more merchandise with it, but from the visual standpoint, it's horrible.
Horrible.
Watching them last night, watching LeBron in that, and pause, because we don't look at men like that, but watching them in these colors is like, who is your marketing people? Who put the thought into this? It's horrible.
Who advised you to do that?
Who advised you to do that?
Bro.
Who gave you that? Who gave you that thought? But anyway, back to regular programming. We're done, Freezie. And it brings me no pleasure. It brings me no pleasure to say this because I'm a guy that used to have pictures and posters on my wall of this franchise, of nothing but this franchise, besides my wrestling, photos I used to have on there. Shout out to the Rock and Roll Express.
And Bob Backlund.
Bob Backlund.
The Ultimate Warrior.
You know what I mean? But it hurts. It hurts watching a team that we've talked about ad nauseum. Last week was the conundrum, right? Watching this team being put together in a way that it wasn't befitting of a team that finished 4th in the conference last year.
Right.
It wasn't the kind of thing. If you were going to go balls to the wall, then go balls to the wall.
Go. Right.
Go. Make some moves that fans can say, well, you know what? I didn't agree with it, but I understand it.
But I understand. Pick a direction and go.
Yeah, but I understand. You taking a guy, you know, and I hate to call Kemba Walker a guy. It's disrespectful. But you know what? I already said it already. You taking a man that's suffering from Bob, again, acronym for bone on bone. He had back-to-back games with 0 points. This is a four-time all NBA ball player that had back-to-back games, because why? When you watch him sometimes on the floor, if you watch real closely, he's dragging the leg.
Yeah.
You understand? You ever seen somebody with one leg shorter than the other? Kind of like, you know, kind of like hopping along kind of thing.
Yep.
Kind of thing. And that's what this team is. You know, they're just kind of hopping along. Randall plays one of his best games of the season last night. All of a sudden, he's reinvigorated, then popped in like 6 pills of Viagra. He's out there. He's ready to go. But what happened to the other games? And even in your best game, you fell short at the end, because why? This team is not built to win.
AD, on a fast break, Kemba Walker turned around and passed the ball to another player because he couldn't finish. And I know you saw this, and it turned my stomach. Right? It turned my stomach. You are in the lead on a fast break against another old point guard around your age, Russell Westbrook, and you can't finish at the rim, so you turn around and pass it to the guy behind you when you are under the rim, looking at the rim like this.
Yeah. He's got to block my shot. I got to do something to cause some kind of contact.
He couldn't. He was not, in my humble opinion, he was not physically able to. Right?
Is that an opinion? Is that an opinion, or should we get you a stethoscope? Let me get my Mike Tyson voice.
Your Mike voice.
Yeah, my Mike voice. So you can get an expert opinion. He's hurt. He's wounded. If he was a horse, we'd have taken him out and shot him already.
Right. We probably wouldn't. I would probably wouldn't even waste the bullets.
Right.
I probably wouldn't, because you can't waste the bullets and you can't waste the feed. You can't feed them and you can't shoot them, man. I don't know what I do. You know what I'm saying? So basically what I'm getting at is this. You gotta sit them, right? And listen, and not sit him for a little while, right? You got to sit him for good. He's washed. He's done.
You got to cut him. If you're gonna sit him, then just cut him.
Right. I want to talk to him about retirement. Right. Somebody has at some point. Hey, you ever watched the boxer that fought too long?
Funny you say that.
You ever watch the boxer that fought too long? Like they legit feel like all they got to do is get in better shape, and you like, hey, fat boy, you washed.
One of our favorite movies, and I don't even, because we never talked about this, but I know it's one of your favorites, The Champ.
Right.
With Ricky Schroeder.
Right.
The champ, here's the pun. The champ was cleaning up after horses.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And just because he wanted a better life for his son, he comes back out there one more time. He wins, but he loses. Because he dies right there.
I was going to say there's something to that.
There's something to that. He wins, but he loses because he dies right there on the table, and a star is born with Ricky Schroeder.
Yeah.
Right? Shout out to those old classic legends movies. You know what I'm saying? We touched on movies from time to time, but that's one definitely worth going back to watch. The Champ.
Yeah, that's one. That is one where you want to make sure that you check it out, right? But what I would also Well, what I would also say too is when you look at Kemba, it's like watching the end of Jason Kidd's last year here with the Knicks. You remember when Jason Kidd couldn't even move, couldn't even run, he couldn't even dribble?
Those last few games.
Yeah.
Yeah, those last, he started off like a house on fire.
Yeah.
But those last few games,
the knees just gave out.
Everything was done. It was over.
The knees just gave out. He was only on the floor for instruction. That's it. That's all he was on the floor for. Because he couldn't bring anything physical to the game anymore. Because those knees had it. Right? And the thing about watching Kemba last night, is
painful.
The thing about watching them last night, man, is when he was getting beat, right? When he was getting beat, it wasn't, you didn't have the feeling like he was even competing, right? You didn't have the feeling like he was even competing, man. And in fairness to the other guys on the floor, why do you have him out there if he ain't gonna compete? Right? Why you gonna have him out there if he ain't gonna compete? AD, if he ain't gonna compete, why have him out there,
bro? Because management and the coach, the first time the coach did it, he probably did it without telling management that he was gonna do it. And he gave no timetable as to when he would bring him back or if he would bring him back. It was just, this is what it is. He's not going to be in the second unit. He's just going to the bench and that's it. Right? But because of COVID-19 restrictions and so forth, and he hadn't played in a month, he brought him back. Kemba had his best 3 games of the year. Then after that, when people stopped watching, when the media stopped paying attention, you started seeing 2 points, 4 points, 6 points, 8. And then somebody picked up the story again and was like, he's washed. No, he's been washed.
Right.
And it hurts me to put him out here on Front Street like that. Because a player like this, New York City owned, born and bred, that we watched with the Cardiac kids over in UConn, that did all his best to take that team to an NCAA, championship, which they delivered. And his career in Charlotte, it's not his fault that he's rolling around with a bad wheel or with a wheel that's permanently flat. It's his fault, or it's management's fault, that they didn't do their due diligence. Or who are their physicians that on staff that said that he can play, that he can give you. When they signed him, I remember telling one of my trusted guys, I was like, look, if he plays 60 games, 60, and I mean totality of playoffs,
all together,
60 games just for that one season, then maybe it was worth it. But I wasn't in favor of signing him because he was bargain basement shopping. Again, for a team that finished 4th in the conference, that had a home playoff series in their home, which they only was able to win 1 game, right? This is what you do. You go out and you get a guy that's, God, I don't want to call him that, but that's compromised. Let's use that.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Right?
That's a great word.
And you put him in your starting lineup, and then you get another guy that never played for anything before last year on another team, right? That couldn't play defense if he was in a phone booth.
with somebody else in a phone booth
with
with
somebody
somebody.
else.
Yeah.
You guard somebody else in a phone booth,
Right.
right? And these are the two players you put in on a team that was across the board #1 defensively last year.
Right.
And you put them in your starting lineup to get major minutes.
Major.
How can us as Knicks fans look at management and their direction and think they know what they're doing?
When we see the same mistakes time after time.
When you're riding off of one playoff win, one playoff invite, because the fan base went absolutely berserk after games 1 and 2.
Right.
Here in New York, we went berserk. You could hear us for miles around from one particular location. That's how loud some 25,000 people were, and people who were outside who couldn't get in the game, who just ran up on the scene because they heard other people out there, and tourists and people in their masks and stuff like that. Not even scared of pandemic anymore. People wasn't even scared of pandemic.
No,
they had masks and stuff ripped off.
And
willing to take. Hold on a second, because I just hit on something for management. Let me get close and near and dear and damn near indignant. People were willing to come into the Garden, and possibly, this is before Omicron came out. This is before this latest variant came out. Rip masks off, right? And sit next to each other in some brotherly bonding situation.
Yep.
This is what you give them? This is what you bring back to the table the season after? So where's the appreciation for someone who's not even taking their safety? If I come around 5 people, I can't see my parents for like 2 weeks, Freezie.
Right. I know this.
You understand? That's why I've been scared. I can't even sniff nowhere 34th Street, Madison Square Garden.
Right.
Because why? If I do, I can't go near my parents.
Right.
So for those folks who was willing to risk life and limb, not knowing what could happen the next day, because I'm sure so many folks have gotten COVID from being in the same vicinity with other folks rubbing shoulder to shoulder, and some of them done died that we haven't even heard about. This is what you bring out here. This is what you re-roll out here to the people. You can't be serious. You cannot be serious.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. So for the record, before the show, I told AD not to get preachy. And AD, he got on the mountaintop.
On the rough side.
He bringing the message to y'all this morning from the book of Anthony, chapter 12, verse 11 and 12. Now, I just look, I feel you, bro. I feel you. Let me read this super chat real quick. Heck Breezo is in the building. Heck Breezo, Knicks champion of the world. What's good, Heck? Says, get used to RJ games on ABC. He gonna take us there. Hey, good point, bro. Good point. We feeling you. We feeling you with that. Chef NYK is in the building. And to what Anthony D said, Knicks fans are so passionate about this squad that they risk their health to come support the team. And this is what you give us to root for the season after. Now, Knicks front office, if you ain't ashamed of that, you ain't gonna never be ashamed of nothing.
Ever.
You feel me?
Ever.
Because the thing is, the thing is this. You can't make somebody feel something they don't have the ability to feel. Right? You can't make a robot feel empathetic. It just don't happen. Right? It's like you can't have a killer feel compassionate. They don't go together. You have to have the absence of one to be the other. Right? So here's the thing with the Knicks. Hey, Big Shiesty, what's good? Hey, Paulie, I see you. Malik Cologne, I see you. What's good? So what AD hit on is the Knicks front office has done us a serious disservice. And without somebody with perspective, I'm still not sure about that. I'm sorry, that's my iPhone. That's the government trying to figure out our conversation. But without having people with perspective willing to share what they saw, a lot of us that are caught up in the moment won't see it. Because you know why? Because we were caught up in the moment. So AD, I meant for that to go 10 minutes, bro. We went 21 minutes.
It's something about, you know what is, Uncle Freezie, as we're always on a journey. We start one place, we end up someplace else, and the middle we always figure it out. But that piece right there was so near and dear, because when it hit me, and I'm thought about it, I'm like, I can't even be amongst 5, 10 people. If I am, you know what it is. I can't see the people who's near and dear to me.
Lockdown. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I gotta lock myself down. Period. End of story. To make sure that I'm good. Because if they're not good, then none of this means anything.
Right. Right.
You see? So yeah, I took off the collar. The sermon is over. You know. But you know what it is.
Well,
exactly.
Make sure you put something in that collection plate.
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen.
And not a chicken bone.
No. Speaking of which, every time I think about that, I was like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Jackson Heights, very own
Randy Watts.
You may know him from the What's Going Down episode of
Absolutely.
That's My Mama.
Absolutely.
Welcome Jackson Heights, very own Randy Watson. Yes.
Give it up. And there's like 2 people clapping.
Yeah. And they even clap together. They like
there's 2 people clapping. One boy guy said, "That boy good. That boy good." Good and terrible.
Good and terrible. Good and terrible. You ready to jump on these current events?
Let's get it, baby. Let's get it.
All right, let's jump on these current events. All right, so the Lakers lost last night in overtime to the Lakers.
Or better yet, the Knicks lost last night to the Lakers.
yeah, the Knicks lost last night to the Lakers. The Knicks lost last night.
The Lakers should have been playing themselves.
No. They were playing themselves with them ugly ass uniforms they had on. They were definitely playing themselves last night. Right. Now I don't know how much you noticed, but they were definitely playing themselves.
The moment they came on the floor, I was like, why did they roll out a version of the Minneapolis uniforms? Not even the good version. Like, they just drummed this up, but we touched on it. Yeah, that bad. Currently, where are we? We're almost up against the trading deadline. Is that where you're going?
No, I want to ask you a series of questions. Right, I want to ask you a series of questions. It ain't nothing too difficult, man. I ain't trying to set you up. You know me. Right?
So this ain't math. You ain't asking me Janet Jackson or Paul Abdul. Janet Jackson or Sanaa Lathan. Janet Jackson or Tony Braxton.
No.
You know, it's not going to be none of those.
No, because those are really not complicated. Because who's the loser? Who's the loser?
Janet Jackson.
If you pick one and you wind up with the other,
be good money.
Okay, all right.
Be good money.
So anyway, so you had me in the doghouse for about 2 weeks. AD, thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
So anyway, so we touched on Kemba a little bit. Kemba looks like a shell of himself, but I want to touch on the point guard position just for a little bit. I want to strike a nerve with you, right? Because last night was an embarrassment of epic proportions, right? So last night you asked your young up and coming player to not only guard LeBron James and Russell Westbrook on offense, you also gave him time running the offense, right? Because the guy that you have penciled in at point guard is a shell of his former self, right? So last night, the offense in the first half looked okay because that young guy that you had running some offense sometimes had some energy, right? What happened is, as the game went on, he got tired because he guarded possibly the greatest player to ever play and a point guard that's going to legit moonwalk into the Hall of Fame, first ballot, two-time MVP, three seasons, 2 seasons where he averaged triple doubles. You know he's going to moonwalk into the Hall of Fame.
Facts.
Right? So here's the thing. Where are our point guards, bro?
We got one on the bench.
What's his name?
Eminem, Miles McBride.
Okay. All right. You want to just end this now and come back in 2023 when he's ready? Or
that's fine.
All right, now.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm good with that. But I'd rather see. Here's the thing, and this is a Tibbs thing, and maybe we should create a segment for as long as you're here called Tibbs. He would rather put out a lame individual than someone sound. You know what it would be like for Russell Westbrook to have to consistently shoot Miles McBride, someone who's 21, 22 years old, who got nothing but energy, nothing but non-artificial things running through his body, or someone that can eat McDonald's all day long and come out here and play, right?
For
that doesn't have to get ready for the game.
Yeah.
He may not be perfect or what you think he is right now, but guess what? If I put him out there on Russell Westbrook and I said, sick him, right? He's going to sick him. Because what youth does to people who are elderly, they do what the hell ever they want.
Right. It's nature.
I saw my mom yesterday trying to chase around my little 5-year-old niece. 4 going on 5.
Is it a girl? Is it a
girl?
Okay, yeah, she's 5.
The baby is flipping and pirouetting and doing whatever to finally. My mom told me how she does it. She just verbally gives direction, and every now and again she'll physically try to redirect. Because what? You can't be 70 plus chasing after 4 or 5-year-old consistently. It doesn't work.
So you're talking about in about 15 years. That's what I'm going to do.
You can't be a player like Russell Westbrook, who's played so many games in this league, and think you can easily get around a Miles McBride, someone who has something to prove, who's looking who's looking not at this contract, but the next contract. Right. The contract to really set his family off.
Right.
Right? So why would you not find something for him? Because every time he goes up to the Westchester, Miles McBride scored 37 points.
16
Miles
assists.
McBride scored 39 points and 14 assists.
But you know what? You know why those dudes are in Westchester, though, right?
Why? Because the living is better?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'd rather live in Westchester than live in. I mean, that's my opinion, but you know, but no, I feel you. I feel you. But let me interject a little bit here. I think the crime that was committed was not just Miles McBride not getting general minutes, because yesterday Quickly didn't have it. Quickly played like trash yesterday. That's why Tibbs snatched him out and didn't put him back in. And you know that Quickly, you know Quickly is Tibbs' baby. You know this, right? Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing with it. When Malik Monk got hot and you didn't bring in Grimes or McBride, that's where you lost the game.
You mean when Monk got hot shooting wide open Jays?
No, when Monk got hot shooting contested Jays too.
Oh God.
Because the three he hit on Fournier was there, bro. Fournier's hand was there.
Ain't nobody looking at Fournier. Fournier runs up to you. That's like a 4-year-old trying to stick you up, yo. You know, what are you doing? You gotta step past him. Like, what are you doing?
Well, you know what I mean? Stick kids are out the tax.
Not at 4 years. Not at 4 years old. Maybe at 10. But definitely not at 4. You know what I mean? You're watching him with these odd lineups. It's not even odd anymore. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. Like I said, we need a whole segment on Tibbs and dissecting Tibbs maneuvers and as to why. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying start Miles. I'm saying, could they have done something that where Miles could have helped to stem the tide? They scored 13 points in the third quarter.
Yep.
That's like some 93 numbers.
But here's the thing, and I'm excited that you brought that up. And people are like, man, this old school Knicks. Y'all talking about the game last night. We gonna get there. Calm down. We gonna be here for a while. Chill out. So, but here's the thing. AD. The 13 points thing is not a Thibodeau thing, bro. You don't have a point guard. You don't have a point guard, man.
Would you have played Miles McBride last night? Some,
not a lot, right? Because the Lakers were running the offense with Monk and LeBron in the backcourt, and I don't want to get Miles McBride switched on to LeBron James. And they ran that some last night. That's how come.
Why? Why? Mosquitoes don't bite 7-footers?
AD.
Exactly.
If Miles McBride guarded that man at all, that game wouldn't have went to overtime. The Lakers would have just blew us off the floor.
My point is, Freezie, for as long as he's going to be coach of this team, and for as long as management is going to continue to draft young players or inject youthfulness, you have to roll them out, Freezie. You have to roll them out.
McBride is situational, though.
Yeah, but even if it's situational, you can't think of them as if they don't give you a chance to win, and I can only play my favorites. See, Quickly has always been, since day one of his favorites.
Yes. And he
Oh,
played like trash last night.
oh, he shot a 40-footer with
Two
three
hands
guys
in his
on him.
face.
No problem.
Yeah.
He'll hit the next 5.
Right.
Right? How can you? He's not the only young guy on the team. He's just your favorite.
Right.
And he's not had a good season. And every time I hear his name come up in trade conversation, Knicks don't want to trade him. I'm like, so you plan on having 3 young guards with still 3 old guards on the team? Because that makes sense in whose world? Exactly.
I feel you, AD. I feel you. Right. But the thing is what Tibbs is trying to do, and I'm here for it. He wants these kids to win, right? And learn winning habits and be in high leverage games. Now, at the same time, Grimes didn't have it. McBride didn't have it. That's why you saw Burks. And there's no crime with having an off night. Everybody has an off night occasionally. You know what I'm saying? It just happened that Quickly and Grimes' off night was in a prime time game against one of the greatest franchises ever, and you're the only team playing. Right? So what? The Knicks play again tonight, right? Play the Jazz tonight at what, 9 or something? So the thing is about having a deep schedule is you have an off night, you move on to the next night, right? What I'm saying to you about McBride though is so if it's a hurry up and play McBride thing, I think it should be more of a hurry up and get rid of Kemba first thing. Put McBride in the starting lineup. Put Quickly in the starting lineup, one of them. The other one's going to be the backup, and you roll with it for the rest of the season. Don't do this teabagging. Put him in, put him out, put him in, put him out, put him in, put him out. Don't do this teabagging, bro.
He's not going to do it. Him being Tibbs, who's in control of the players that are in the locker room now, who goes on the floor, he's not going to do it because to his dying day, and that's not a bad thing. He's going to keep trying to win, but keep trying to win his way.
Right.
That's the difference. Keep trying to win his way, the way how he knows.
AD, I'm not gonna lie to you, from a coaching perspective, I saw Tibbs run some new wrinkles in offense, right? More motion offense, right? That requires less point guard play because we don't have one, right? But here's the thing: when vets like in the third quarter, when vets not running your motion offense, then it's not a coaching thing, bro. That's a personnel thing. That's a personnel thing.
There's enough blame to go around, Uncle Freezie.
I'll give you an example, right? I'll give you an example. The Jets used to have these 2 receivers, right? Wayne Corbett and Keyshawn Johnson, right? Wayne Corbett and Keyshawn Johnson. On one side,
when it's a run play, petty man. You're a Giant fan talking about the Jets.
I ain't no Giant fan. I'm a Bears fan. I don't care about no Giants.
Oh, you're a Bears fan?
Yes. I've been a Bears fan since '77.
Oh my God.
I never told you the story about Mr. Ronald inviting me to his house to watch the game.
No.
I'll save that one. I'll save that one. Okay. So anyway, what happened is the Jets used to have these 2 receivers. One was a random dude they picked up off a scrap heap out of Hofstra, of all places. And then the other was the number 1 pick in the draft, loudmouth from a football powerhouse, right? So they could not be more different. One is like 6'3", 6'4", amazing hands, catch everything in his vicinity, want you to throw it to him more. The other is average speed at best. Average athleticism at best. But
But
may
he had
have
heart.
had he
But
had
he had
heart. He had heart, and he may have had the best hands of any Jet receiver to ever play. Well, maybe outside of Altoon. Outside of Altoon and maybe Wesley Walls, right? But no other Jet receiver had hands like Wayne Corbett, right? Coach call a play. Coach call a play. It's a run play. You look at 19 out on the perimeter. He ain't blocking nobody. This ain't what I do right here, baby. This ain't no passing play. You want me to what? You want me to block? You want me to actually do something when my number is not called? Hell no. On the other side, you see 3 New England Patriots trying to punch this dude number 80 through the ground because he keep blocking all the way up to the whistle, and he little, and he got hot, and they getting tired of dealing with him, right? Right? And so what you look at, you like, yo, man, why Wayne Corbett always stirring up the other team, man? Why he always be trying to do something to the other team? He always be out there trying to block, and then, you know what I'm saying, and then be catching me on 3rd and 7. All he do is get you 7 yards. On 3rd and 7, I need 14 yards. Nah, homie, on 3rd and 7, guess what you need?
You need 7
yards. Yeah, 7 yards. And that's what Wayne Corbett gonna get you. You know what I'm saying? You mad on 3rd and 7, he got you 7. And then on third and 7, you threw a 10-yard square into Keyshawn, and they get tipped by the defense, and now you got to punt. Wait, why don't you just go get your 7? Right? I said that to say this. Tibbs ran offense last night, and the guys that were not getting the ball jogged through it half-heartedly. Like, yeah, I'm supposed to screen right here, but he ain't called my number. And they only move when it comes time for them to catch the basketball. And it's a shame because that's not a Tibbs thing. That's a lazy, rich, spoiled veteran thing. That has nothing. You ever saw that movie Eddie?
Yes. Yes.
You remember Malik Silly?
God rest his soul.
You remember Whoopi had to call his mama to get him to stop being a sport athlete?
Right.
Bruh.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying.
Absolutely. But here's the thing, though. That's an indictment on the coach, because
oh, geez,
it's up to you to get the passion out of these guys. You see, everybody has their role, Freezie. That's up to you. You got remember last week, and I was talking to y'all like, you got Kenny Payne and what's the other guy named Bryant and da 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 da. And I'm like, all they do is hold on to the keys and open the gym and roll the basketballs out, right? And they call they help hide certain things like who got the name, who got the number of the weed man, and this, that, and the third. They're assistant coaches. It's a part of their job responsibility. It's to help these guys get to a certain level to be on the floor come game time. And they're all under the umbrella of head coach.
AD. You didn't see, so 2 things happened last night. So Carmelo Anthony was dressed to play in the first half, and in the second half he came out with a big purple coat on like he was Barney in street clothes. Right? So I lost a little more respect for Carmelo after that, right?
Oh,
and then the second thing I saw last night was Johnny Bryant rip Tom Thibodeau. Johnny Bryant was screaming at Tom Thibodeau so bad last night. And here's the play. Here's the play, just for a point of reference. The Knicks were down by 4 with 40 seconds left to go in the game. Alec Burks missed a wide. Alec Burks missed the most wide open. He could have hit a 3 right, to cut the lead to 1, and he missed the most wide open, beautiful look you ever saw in your life. He missed it. I was frustrated. Me and Miss Mocha was in here. We were so mad. We're like, what does Alec Burks give you if he ain't going? But anyway.
Shout out to Miss Mocha.
Shout out. She's probably in here somewhere. Probably. We did the yearly budget last night, and she mad. Boy, she mad as hell right now. You know how you put your projects together at the end of the year. This is what we want to do by December. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
She mad as hell, boy. Ain't no jewelry on there. Ain't no car. No. Anyway.
Right.
Anyway, Evan Fournier. Tom Thibodeau directs Evan Fournier to foul. Right. Foul on foul. Hack. Right. And Johnny Bryant goes off last night. Anybody's in here saw the game? Y'all saw that? When Johnny Bryant ran up the Tibbs, like, what you doing? What you doing? In a chat, anybody saw that? Somebody in the chat, let me know if you did see that. Okay, Malik Cologne said he saw it, right? Johnny Bryant ran up the Tibbs like, yo, what are you doing right here? You giving away the game. Tibbs holding, we down by 4 with 40 seconds. We could have went down. We could have let them go down and take a shot and miss, come back down, and then hit a 3 or hit a 2, make it a 1-possession game, and then foul them, sent them to the free throw line. Right? But the game didn't play out like that. So it surprised me to see the assistant coaches get on Tibbs like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not gonna lie to you too. I think they are super passive. Like they don't say nothing. They just let Tibbs do whatever the hell he want to do. And that frustrates me. You feel me? It's like this dude's a one-man show. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. What I am saying is no one person knows it all.
No one person knows it all, Uncle Freezie, but they're still on the floor under his direction. You understand? Yeah. He's the one that you don't fire assistant coaches first.
No.
I've yet to hear of an assistant coach in basketball getting fired. What happens is you hear that they took a high school job, or they took a college job, or something happened. Right? That's not what happens. The head coach is the one who gets fired. The head coach is the one, axed to go. And that's the big story. And here in New York, that's going to be, should he get fired tomorrow or get fired if they lose 5 straight on this Western string?
Right.
That's going to make a story for 2 months. For the rest of the off season into the next season, because it's New York. He's the head coach. It's a high profile city. It's a high profile job. But he wants to do things. And I guess when you're in that position, Freezie, you have to have a certain level of autonomy.
Right.
But here in this part of the world, we've seen what rigidness can get you.
Yep.
Rigidness, and we can transition into this. Rigidness can get you game 794.
I knew you was ready to go there.
Oh yeah, I've been ready. I woke up this morning watching, because as we left off last week in 94, I woke up this morning consistently doing it to myself, and to prepare for the show.
Going back and watching and hoping there'd be a different outcome.
I watched game 3. And let's start game 3.
Let's
good, the bad, the ugly.
All right, so I don't have the animation this week, bro. But
got it. But what was good about game 3? We made it to the finals.
Yay!
Okay, get that out of there now.
Right.
The previous year, in 93, we had the best home record in the land.
Okay.
I think our home record was, memory serves me correctly, we were either 38-3 or 39-2. We had some ridiculous home record. The following year, we lost like a couple of games that we shouldn't have lost. And I distinctively remember Pat Riley telling the team that we needed a home court advantage, right? Because a home court advantage would help us should we get all the way. When we got past Indiana and Houston somehow got past Houston. And I remember watching Houston got past, Houston against Houston. Houston got past Utah. And I remember watching that series thinking, Greg Ostertag has nothing for Akeem Olajuwon. We're going to see Georgetown, Houston again, but in modern form with Knicks, Houston Rockets, Hakeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing. It was bound to happen. And it happened at a certain time where the TV audience was kind of like, wow, we remember this like 10 years ago. Here we go again. Makes a good TV drama.
Right.
The game 3 is pivotal here because they split games 1 and 2 in Houston. Back to my early point of we didn't have the same home record we had the previous year. Because if we did, it wouldn't have been, that was the year where they switched the scheduling as far as home court, where they went, it used to be 2-2-2-2-1-1-1, right? Yep. Or 2-2-2-1, something like that. That in 94 they went to 2-3-2.
2-3-2, yep.
2-3-2, which it then rears its ugly head because game 3, again, as I said before, is the pivotal game in the series. And I'm watching it this morning. It's ebb and flow. When I left off the game, Ewing was 6 for 22. He had blocked like 6 shots. He might have had like 15 rebounds. Olajuwon wasn't that great, but he was better in that particular. And we lose it because of, in my opinion, Derek Harper misses 2 assignments with Sam Cassell.
Yeah.
And that's bad and ugly because we win the next 2 games, but we have to go back to Houston for 2. Yep. So we're up 3-2 going to game 6. Going to game 6 and game 7. And that game 3 right there is pretty much marked by the fact that we didn't solidify home court during the regular season where we would have been the ones going 2-3-2 and having 6 and 7 in New York.
In the Garden. Yep.
And as I'm watching it this morning, I'm watching it like I've never seen it before. Because, you don't, as a fan, there's certain things that you pack away.
Right.
94 is one of those things. The finals is one of those things where I know it's on YouTube. I know the whole series is there. I know if I watch MSG Network at certain points in time, they'll bring on, spring 94, and they'll talk about the Rangers and the Knicks and how both franchises under the same umbrella was heading to the same direction, but they're kind of like twin brothers. One is Cain, one is Abel, or both are able, but yet still one falls short, but one gets all the way to game 7. And in watching game 3 this morning, it didn't make me totally upset, but it just brought back some memories because Charles Oakley has been on the book circuit. Oh, yeah. He's been on the book circuit over this last week or 2. So he's been making rounds in the tri-state area and outside the tri-state area because he's selling this book, his new book, and which is on the heels of the book by Chris Herring, Blood in the Garden.
Yeah.
I watched a couple of interviews of him, and we discussed Oakley here and what the love is for the fans and what the love was, and still is for that team that they're still writing about some 27, 28 years later. He goes at Ewing.
Yep. Of course.
Over and over and over again. And to each interview, it gets worse. Or the last one I saw, it wasn't as bad, but he puts Ewing as the main focal point as to why they did not win. I thought basketball or all team sports was a team game, team contribution. When I stopped game 3 today, you know where I stopped it? Carl Herrera hitting another jump shot.
Right. Daring Oakley to come out. Daring him to come out. Daring him to come out. Like, come on. Like, some of them shots he took, it wasn't even catch and shoot. He caught, waited for Oakley. Oakley wouldn't come out. He would just shoot the jumper. And no matter how much you watch it, it makes you sick to your stomach, man. And then Knicks fans being here talking about John Starks cost you a championship. That thing, it turned my stomach when you watch the play develop, watch a play develop, right? You watch a play develop, you see Starks scramble out to Maxwell.
Freezie, stay right there. Give me 2 seconds. Stay right there.
Okay. Wow, I guess I'll just twiddle my thumbs. Infamous New King, what's good? What's good with you? White Falcons in the building. What's good? I see you. D'Angelo, what's good? D'Angelo says, no, salute. No more analytics. This team, front office, coach is awful. Yep. Point guard, bro. D'Angelo, I'm going to say this. You'll hear this first right here. If the Knicks go get a point guard right now that's capable of anything, just an average starting NBA point guard, this team makes a serious run at the playoffs. Right? I watched the offense the last few nights. Bro, we lack point guard play. And when I say we lack point guard play, I'm including Quickly too. Quickly is understand they're trying to groom him to be a point guard, but right now he ain't it. Right? Because I saw people cut into the basket. I was like, look, these guys are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing from a basketball IQ standpoint. And our point guards don't have passer vision to even see these guys are wide open, right? So
why put him there?
What other choice do you have?
Freezie, you don't ask redbirds to be blackbirds.
I know this.
You don't ask for, you
don't put zebras in a Kentucky Derby. I already know where you're going with this. I already know where
it's up to you and your scouting staff who scouted this individual, who has his background and back check to look at him and say, well, you know what? We got to put him in the best position where he's going to be successful. Not trying to set people up. That's not his thing.
I know this.
You have to have LaMelo Ball is a natural passer. Lonzo Ball is a natural passer because that's what their father groomed them to be.
But they play for other teams, bro. I'm talking about the in-house solution. Because I understand your point is valid. You are absolutely right. You are right. I'm not disputing that. But in terms of in-house solutions, what are we going to do? What are we going to do, AD?
if Burks is your jack of all trades, then let him continue in the role as the point guard.
No.
Why would because here's the thing, Freezie, with that. Burks is 30. His future is not in front of him.
Right.
His future is here and now.
Like Luther Vandross.
Yeah. Here and now. Let me stop.
AD is so smooth. He don't need no chaser. AD is so smooth. He don't need no chaser. He just got right into it, right on cue. Yeah, like perfect timing.
Shout out to Luther. Rest in peace, baby. One of the great albums. When we were still buying albums, I bought his double box set in when I used to work for the Wiz. I'm dating myself. Remember the Wiz? When I worked for the Wiz, I bought his double box set where we put it on. And as we were, when we were on the podcast last night talking about cool and swag, and shout out to those who missed that podcast, right?
Y'all gotta check that out. Y'all gotta check that out.
You when you had on a Luther and you were getting your G on, and you put on certain records like, a house is not a home, and all of these, all these classic records, and shout out to him, rest in peace, but he could definitely help you progress in your moment from where you started to where you wanted to end up.
Yep.
And that's what I'm gonna say.
Because Luther had this joint, right? Not Superstar and not House is Not a Home, not none of those, not those. But he had one that came out in '96, a song called "Take You Out," right? And when I heard the song, when I heard the lyrics on it, I was like, yo, I don't think he wrote these lyrics, but he's singing the hell out of this thing. Like the small stuff that he was saying, like the stuff that you say to your girl.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, I don't want to be like, listen, miss, I don't want to be too forward, but I've been watching flowers from the window for so long that I just decided to come to pick me one. And she's like, flowers? Where the flowers at? Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to say it in a way. I wanted to say that I wanted to come holler at you, but I didn't want to be too forward in what I was saying.
But you being Uncle Freezie, I thought you'd have chose what's that record that goes excuse me, miss, what's your name?
No, me? No.
Right.
Oh, that one too.
I take you out tonight.
That's it. That's the one. Take you out.
Oh, okay.
That's the one.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it right there. That was one of my favorites, and Never Too Much.
Yeah.
Because I've heard him on several interviews saying that that's the one record when he first penned it and he put it out there, he had a hard time singing it because he's kind of like rhythmically going with it,
right.
And his breath control, because Luther always had a problem with weight.
Yeah.
Breath control, he couldn't handle it at first, like because it's he's going dun, 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 I come to come and listen. He's doing all of that but rest in peace, Luther, one of the great R&B
of
all times. Absolutely.
He ain't no Johnny Gill, but he okay.
Dude, if he was in the verses today, if Luther was in the verses today,
Johnny Gill would murder him.
No, Luther would murder Johnny Gill.
Johnny Gill would murder that man.
Luther would
murder him. Murder them.
Luther would absolutely.
No.
Johnny Gill would have to be sing. He'd have to sing "My My My" like 10 times.
No.
Luther would absolutely. Luther would lead that man. Who would I put against Luther? If Luther was here today.
Nah, man.
I wouldn't put Johnny Gill against Luther. I wouldn't.
The fair competition would be Luther versus maybe a Babyface or a Keith Sweat, but you can't. But Johnny Gill murdered all of them, bro.
No, stop it.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
stop it. Stop it.
Hey, look at this discography, bro.
Stop it. You about to bring out what you about to bring out the new edition songs that he sang on?
No, just Johnny Gill by himself.
Johnny by himself? No, Johnny by himself don't have hits like that. Johnny got a couple of hits. Johnny don't got hits like that.
Come on, bro, don't do that.
No, Johnny don't got double box set Luther hits. Johnny don't got double box set, if if Luther sings "If This World Was Mine," your wife is gonna propose to you again.
Again.
Who's that? Is that Luther and Cheryl Lynn? When Luther comes in with that.
Oh, if this world were mine.
Yeah, that's Cheryl Lynn on it.
Yeah, that's how.
Luther if this world was mine, I would place at your feet all that I own. What? Stop playing. Stop playing. Stop playing.
Just real quick, Luther had a song called "Rub You the Right Way." Johnny Gill. Johnny Gill had a song called "Rub You the Right Way" that Kiss played to death.
That was a hot record.
And so just for some context, for people that's not from the New York tri-state area, before all these artists came out, before Luther came out, before Keith Sweat came out, before Anita Baker came out, there was like these underground club wars, right? Where these promoters could only book either Luther or Keith Sweat or Freddie Jackson or Miles J, right? Yeah, you remember Freddie Jackson? You remember Miles J?
I remember Fat Freddie. Last time I saw Freddie was down to jawbone.
Yeah.
I saw Freddie.
But he healthy though.
Yeah, I think he had diabetes or something like that.
He don't have it no more. He just lost all that weight.
Freddie.
So, but the thing is though, there used to be these club wars, right? Because it used to be like acts like Kashif and Miles J. Right? You remember Miles J? Let's Start Love Over. Back to the way things were. Forget about him and I'll forget about her. Remember that? Let's start love over.
Absolutely.
Back to the way things were. And I've been a fool for you. Well, Miles J was the man, right? And he was like, yo, if you book that cow sounding dude Keith Sweat, I ain't never coming back here. Right? And so it was club wars underground, right? And so these people had beef with each other, like legit. When they saw each other, they wanted to
real beef.
Yes, because they was cutting into each other money, right? And what it is, they kept pushing Luther out there. Like Patti LaBelle was like, Luther, listen, you got the greatest voice in the game.
Yes.
You don't have to sing backup for nobody.
Yes.
But Luther was like, I don't want to be a lead singer. That's not my personality. To be an alpha, you got to have an alpha's personality. Right? And so Luther was like, that's not me. Right? And then Freddie Jackson did this song with this group called Mr. Magician. Mr. Magician. And it was like, if this can come out here and you can sing, Luther, you can sing circles around him.
Yeah.
Right? Which I don't necessarily think is true. Right? I think Freddie is talented.
I don't think circles, but maybe a circle.
Maybe he better. Luther is better.
Yeah, maybe
right.
better. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I would think Luther over Freddie. And that's no slight to Freddie.
Yeah, because Freddie could sing, bro.
Yeah, because Freddie could sing. Freddie could absolutely sing the telephone book.
You're right.
Absolutely.
And they came from the same circuit. They used to sing at the same churches, all that stuff. Luther was just a little bit older. That's the only thing. He sung it. He couldn't come up through the same.
Luther comes through the PBS. Luther was that Sesame Street back in the day?
Yeah, with the curl, when he had the curl.
With the curl? Yeah.
And the tight
Luther paid his dues.
Yeah, and I was like, yo, Luther has no style whatsoever. He's just a cornball that can sing.
But he can sing.
But he can sing. And then on the other side of that, you had Keith Sweat, who was just on the edge of changing music forever with the New Jack Swing style, right? Coming in.
I think that, and you know what, and this is to the ladies, because some women, or a lot of women, they like that begging.
Yeah.
That certain kind of you pleading to get with them kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he was on the cusp, because
no, you don't do that.
He's not a classic singer.
He's not a classic singer. He's not a classic crooner. And in
no,
the crooner sense, like the Peabo Bryson, Luther Vandross,
but
Freddie
he found his niche
because of production.
He found his niche with production, because remember, I think he was a stockbroker.
Yeah.
Early on, he didn't need this game.
He had to work.
Yeah,
he had to work because he wasn't a session singer, bro.
No, he wasn't a session singer. But shout out to Keith. I like Keith Sweat. I like his music, but I was never like a major fan of him, because I was like one of those dudes who's like, God, geez Louise, must he Patti LaBelle it on every record? Must he I wanna like just but does he have hits? Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
He might be Luther, bro. He might have more hits than Luther, bro.
I would think not, but
he might have more hits than Luther, bro.
He does have Make It Last Forever.
Bro, nah, AD.
He does have Make It. That's one of my favorite songs.
Before you go there, AD.
All time.
Because you about to show your age, and you trying to tip the scales in an unfair way. But listen, I'm gonna tell you this, because you remember when the Kiss van used to ride through the city and give out Kiss cards and all that stuff. Remember the white Kiss card and all that stuff?
Absolutely.
I know you remember that, right?
Yes.
My man, I'm gonna tell this story, and people gonna swear up and down I'm lying. So Teddy Riley, and we're gonna get back to old school Knicks, but it's old school Knicks, man. So anyway, Teddy Riley writes this joint, right? Called Just Got Paid. Before you cut me off, hear me out.
Jeff Kim.
No, listen, let me finish. So Teddy Riley writes this joint called Just Got Paid, right? And he calls Keith. Keith is at a concert, and Keith is like, yo, what's good? Why are you calling me here? I'm at work. Teddy's like, yo, right when you finish, come over here. You got to come sing this joint. The hook to it goes, just got paid Friday night, party bumping, music is right, blah, 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 right? And Keith Sweat sings it over the telephone. He's like, I can't hardly hear. Did you say, just got paid Friday night? And so Teddy's like, yeah. He's like, yo, that is trash. I ain't singing no mess like that. I'll be over there, Teddy. I'll be over there in a little bit, right? And then if you listen to Johnny Kemp sing the song,
yes,
you're like, yo, this song was handcrafted for Keith Sweat, because it sounds just like another Keith Sweat first hit, I Wanna. Right?
Yes.
You remember? Yes. I remember
it has it's that same tempo.
Right. I wanna.
Right. Yeah, it's that same tempo.
Right. So Teddy,
but he couldn't see it because he already did it.
Right, because they was doing his album. His album wasn't out yet. He was actually that song. I Wanna was already done, and two other songs were already done. I Want to Go Outside in the Rain, and You May Be Young But You're Ready. Already done. Yes. Teddy Riley already got them on the album, right? So Make It Last Forever is not done yet because they can't find another voice to go with Keith on Make It Last Forever. So Teddy Riley has two session singers, one Jackie McGee, right? And one Johnny Kemp. So it's like Jackie McGee is trying to sing Just Got Paid Friday. Nah, it just don't go with a girl. It just.
Right.
So
Right.
Johnny Kemp sing it, and he recorded for the demo for Keith, and Keith Sweat never show up, bro. 7 weeks, 8 weeks, Keith Sweat don't show up to record. Just got paid, right?
And just got paid.
Right, and so Teddy Johnny yo, why don't you just let me get it? Okay, let's put this out. This song too hot. So at the time it's this song that's the hottest song in the universe called Push It. Kiss is playing it to
death. To death. Yes.
You can't even it's getting played at you know how a song is so hot that you're gonna hear it at 0 and 30. You're gonna hear it at the top of the hour. Yes. And halfway through, you're gonna hear it at 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock, 8:30. That was Push It, right? That was Push It, okay? That was Push It. And so what happens is Keith come back after Just Got Paid is sent to whatever for to get the original masters done and get all the engineering done and all that. And he was like, yo, ain't that the joint you did that I was supposed to do? You gonna get this song to Johnny Kemp? He was like, yo, and Teddy and Johnny Kemp was like, yo, we waited for 2 months.
Waited.
And you said the song was trash, but you would sing the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And it's a smash. And Keith was so mad that Teddy had to make up to him by giving him a joint called "Make It Last Forever" with Jackie McGee. So they put the "Make It Last Forever" joint with Keith because it was like, yo, if he ain't gonna do "Make It Last Forever," maybe we can see if we can give it to somebody like New Edition. They doing the album right now. Bobby Brown working on the album right now. We'll see what we can. He was like, give me the song, and they do it, and that's how "Make It Last Forever" come out. It's a smash for Keith, but Just Got Paid should have been.
I never knew that. I never knew that. But you see, here on the realest old school Knicks morning show, you're gonna get tidbits like that from my man Uncle Freezie, because as I said in the beginning, him the easy. That's Uncle Freezie and the wealth of knowledge. But to fireman carry on that. The last time I saw Johnny Kemp was at a soul food restaurant. Remember when soul food had just hit the spot, like the early 2000s, late 90s, and everybody started making a soul food place. And there was a soul food spot down in Midtown Manhattan. And one of my friends, shout out to her birthday's coming up. She was having her birthday party there. And we're there and we're hanging out, and all of a sudden they had a live band. And I don't recognize his speaking voice.
Right.
But the band go to that, when the guitar go to that dun, 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 kind of whatever. And all of a sudden he goes, I want to thank all of y'all for making this my one biggest hit. And all of a sudden you started hearing the hand claps, whatever, and then you hear dun, 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 dun. And when I tell you, everybody who was sitting down in the restaurant eating their meal, forks went down, cups went to the side, right, because it was on a Friday. And he started off with Just Got Paid.
Yeah, man.
Friday night.
Yeah, man.
And he tore the place up. As the last time I saw him, that might have been like 20 years ago. Shout out to Johnny Kemp. He passed away, right? Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he passed away from on a cruise ship. He was doing he was on, how the cruise ship have the R&B artists. Yeah. So this may be like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe.
Rest in peace, because sometimes the connotation or the negative connotation of stuff like one hit wonder,
right,
and stuff like that. Right. Sometimes all you need that artist was to deliver that hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and he had that hit, and it was at the right place, the right time, in the right space.
Right.
That's gonna last forever. Because if you're in the party and the party gets, when the party breaks into like, it breaks into that zone of we don't care how we look anymore.
Right.
Because you start off,
like when you take your jacket, talking about when you take your jacket off.
Everything is you got a couple of, you gonna walk around, all the bottles and blah blah. Just, yo, what up, man? I ain't seen you, what up? And then 2 hours later, when you sweated out everything, and you're in the middle of, we ain't going nowhere.
Right.
Because the DJ is already in the midst of where he's going. And somewhere along that line, Just Got Paid is going to get played.
Yep.
Along with many other great songs and stuff.
I heard Teddy Riley say it on one of those Red Bull music interview things, that they had to beg Keith to come in. Like, come on, dog. This is a smash.
Once Keith got there, and you saw him on the verses with Bobby, Keith doesn't lack confidence.
No, Keith Sweat is an egomaniac, bro.
Keith Sweat is an
egomaniac now. No, I don't want to get it twisted.
And out the gate, he had hits out the gate.
Right. I'm gonna tell you, man, Christopher Williams sing that dude into a coma.
Absolutely. Right. But he don't got hits.
Coma. But
he don't got Keith Sweat hits.
But the thing about him is Christopher Williams, what happens is, and it's the same thing that happens to cats like Johnny Gill, is what happens is their voices are so dynamic, it's hard to get them poppy hits. Like
they're too dynamic.
Yeah, like a hit that is same thing with Luther, right? The thing is it's not that they like the vocal talent, is that it's hard to be so dynamic and then
they don't take direction well.
Right. And it's hard to do bubblegum hits with them.
It's hard
to do a Candy Girl with a Johnny Gill. You know what I'm saying?
And when I say direction, it's not that they don't, it's the producer, a lot of times, or more times than not, when he makes the track, in his ear, in his mind's eye, he knows how it wants to be sung.
Right.
And he already knows the voices that he needs in there. It's a rarity that the person who sings, produces, arranges, and everything else.
Right.
You see, like I saw this thing with the Spinners, and what's my guy? I'm forgetting his name, but his last name is Bell.
Not David Bell. The light-skinned producer from Philly.
Yes. And he's coming from the Motown sound. This is when Philly's about to develop their sound.
Right.
And they're like, yo, you don't want to work with this one? You don't want to work with that one? And he said, no. I want to work with the Spinners.
Yes.
I need them and they need me.
Yep. I saw that.
Right? Because he wrote the songs, he arranged the songs, he produced the songs, and he had something in his head that said, this quartet right here, they're going to put my music. No doubt Marvin and all of them could sing.
Can sing. Yeah.
Right? And sang. And sang.
Yeah.
But they had something that he heard in his head. I need for them to follow me, and I need to be with them. And he said when he first met them, they all did their, when you do the sound check and all that, whatever.
Get them to singing, yeah.
Right? He said he left them. He said, but an hour later, he was like, yo, okay, I'm gonna see y'all in like 6 months, and y'all gonna be number one.
Y'all gonna be stars.
He just left them. Y'all gonna be stars, and he just left them. And they were like, yo, he said, if y'all not number one, he made a deal with them. If y'all not number one, y'all gonna buy me the top of the line Cadillac, which was what the Fleetwood Brunt, whatever.
Brunt, yeah.
Right? And if y'all are not number one, I'm gonna give y'all all $1,000, and if you are, you're gonna buy me this Cadillac.
Yep.
And in 6 months, his words came to fruition because the songs he already had, he just put them with those songs, and that was it. As we're here, transgressing all over old school Knicks, but it's old school.
It's old school Knicks. See, the thing is with Knicks fans is this. Hey, tomorrow morning on the KMD, we're gonna talk about the Lakers game, the Jazz game, and Tibbs can't coach, Julius Randle body language, all that stuff. We're gonna talk. But here on old school Knicks, it's a certain vibe, a mindset that you get into. You gotta set the stage, so to speak. You got to get into the old school mindset to understand the reason why we think about the Knicks a certain way, right? Because hand to the man, every time I hear a song by DJ Rob Bass and MC Easy Rock or whatever, Rob Bass, Easy Rock or whatever,
and DJ Easy E.
Right, every time I hear It Takes Two, I think about Mark Jackson and Rod Strickland. Right. Every time I hear It Takes Two to make a thing go right, it takes two to make it out of sight. I'm like, no, it don't take two. It just take one. All we needed was one for one of them dudes to pop with us. You know what I'm saying? It takes two to make a thing go right. Every time I hear that, I think about the Mark Jackson summer. Right? And it's not just the Mark Jackson summer as a Knick. It's the starting in February, Mark Jackson names is starting to get hotter and hotter because he's at St. John's. St. John's whip out these new dope unis. And so it's like, you know what I'm saying? St. John's is like doing a thing, right? And Mark Jackson is the hometown guy.
Yes.
Right? And so it reminds me of the feeling of when Pat Ewing was the consensus number one guy in '85. I personally wanted Chris Mullin.
Whoa.
Because he went to St. John's.
Whoa.
And he was from here.
Whoa.
I like Pat, right? I like Pat. But Chris Mullin, think about this era, AD. Think about this era, 85. We watching the Lakers and the Celtics in the NBA Finals every year. And I'm watching Larry Bird carve up the Lakers, right? And then I watch Chris Mullin, right? And I'm like, how often does a 6'9" point guard come along? Rare, never. But how about a 6'7", 6'8" shooter that can score from anywhere on the floor? That's rare. Because we saw it with Kiki Vandeweghe and others, but Chris Mullin looked like the dude that could potentially be a Larry Bird type player. Because his basketball IQ was crazy. But that man could flat out shoot. And if anybody dispute that Chris Mullin,
I'm gonna dispute it.
What, the number one pick part or the shooting part?
Not the shooting.
Okay.
Because I've said this before. I think when we first started, we had a little Big East, and it's probably fitting that we roll into this. You know, I'm a St. John's guy. And when they did the whole Big East documentary on ESPN some years ago, they left out a couple of steps. First step was St. John's played Georgetown twice that year. And Georgetown was the reigning number one team in the nation. And this is coming off that after they won the championship the previous year.
Right.
We beat them 65-60 in the Garden.
Wait a minute, you said we. Are you a Johnny?
Yeah. I'm a Johnny.
Oh my goodness.
Johnny. Rowan, Mosley, Willie Glass, Shelton Jones, Berry, Mullen, Jackson, Bill Wennington.
Winnington.
All of them.
Winnington, yep.
Shout out to Lou Carnesecca.
Who was it? They had there was a short point guard too. There was a short point guard.
Mosley. His name was Mark Mosley.
Okay.
Who Mark Jackson, in truth, should have been the starting point guard, but college days, you kind of waited your turn, especially back then. You waited your turn. And Mark was a freshman that year, that Final Four year.
Yeah.
And when we beat Georgetown on national TV that Saturday afternoon.
I remember them doing the Hoya paranoia thing. I remember.
Yes, we beat them. I think it was 65-60, and it was their first loss in like a year or something like that.
Right.
And we finally was able to get past them because Walter Berry was junior college player of the year twice.
Right.
And Walter Berry from the Bronx. And the one thing Louis did that the Knicks could take a lesson from, and it's not about getting guys that are from the area who are past their prime, but guys who understand New York basketball.
Right.
Wennington, New York. Mullen, New York. Jackson, New York. Malik Sealy, New York.
Yep.
Berry, New York. Boo Harvey, New York.
Boo Harvey, that's the name I was trying to remember.
Boo Harvey comes like 8 years later.
Yeah, after Jackson and them. Yeah.
He's the next, not the next 4. He's like 8 years later.
Yeah.
The team
that choked against Vegas.
Yeah. Boo Harvey's like 90, 91, something like that.
Yeah. Steve Smith era. Steve Smith, Master Ganga era, Duke era.
Yes. He always knew how to get guys that was either from the area but understood what it was like to play in this area, play for this team. Shout out to my man from Lower East Side, Felipe Lopez. Same thing, Felipe.
Yep.
And for that particular time, Patrick Ewing was the scariest guy in college basketball. It's just that simple.
You think over Wayman Tisdale?
Wayman Tisdale was a left-handed modern day what we see in Julius Randle.
Especially in body type for sure.
Especially in body type, especially because shout out to Wayman Tisdale. God, R.I.P. Wayman Tisdale could play in that era, but not this era because Wayman Tisdale was all lower half.
Right.
So he was a box forward.
Right.
And he was the number 2 player drafted that year, but he wasn't. Ewing was just ultrally dominant. I don't even know if that's a word.
Right.
Since the time he came on the scene that we knew about him, but this is pre-injuries, he was just, Lord have mercy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that Saturday afternoon, I'm a St. John's guy, and we're in the draft. And there's no way in the hell I'm thinking the Knicks, the first lottery draft, that I'm thinking we should get number 1 to draft Mullen.
No.
The prize, the crown jewel, the pink diamond.
No, of course not.
Patrick Ewing.
No, but it's the first NBA lottery. You didn't know who you were picking.
No, but going into it, all the teams
going into the draft.
Going into the draft,
I want to pat you on. Yeah, I want to pat you on.
Kansas City Kings at that time. Indiana, Knicks. I'm forgetting 3 other teams, but all of those teams and the late great Dave DeBusschere was sitting on the desk, the podium for us at the time. And when it came down to Indiana and New York, and you're looking at a man about to have a nervous breakdown.
Yep.
Like Dave DeBusschere was about to literally die. Yep. I promise you, if they did not pick the Knicks name, Dave DeBusschere would have had a stroke earlier than he had it, because he had a stroke like 10 years later and died. He would have had that stroke there that night, that day, that Saturday afternoon. Yep. Because when they said Ewing's name, you see him wipe his brow, and he is fidgeting, and he is like, "Oh, thank you, God, that we got Ewing."
Something right finally happened.
Finally happened since the 73 championship. Something finally happened. So
the frozen envelope.
Yeah, I don't care. That's the last time the league ever did anything for us.
Yeah. If they did, but they owed us that though. Remember, they didn't hook us up. The league didn't hook us up. They owed us that because of the double head. Remember when Kareem wanted to leave Milwaukee? Remember we talked about that before? And Kareem was like, "Yo, I want to go play for the Knicks," and they're like, "No, slow down." Because if you go play for the Knicks will win the next 13 championships in a row. Just what about? Hey, listen, Wilt Chamberlain's about to retire, bro. Would you consider the Lakers? No. Wait, no. Hey, Kareem, don't make a big stink, bro. How about we flip a coin? Heads LA, tails New York. And Larry O'Brien flipped the double-sided coin with heads on both sides to get Kareem to LA.
Yeah, because they were gonna put him out there regardless.
Yeah. They had to save the Lakers franchise. And now Lakers fans walk around like they don't stink.
Yeah. And we didn't make enough, we didn't make a big enough stink about it at the time because we had McAdoo.
Yeah.
And we didn't know what to do with him and how to keep him, how to build around him. But we touched on that previously and so forth.
You're trying to play McAdoo with the injured Willis Reed, who was past his prime. Windmill Phil.
This is the part of the history that I don't want to say you have to be from here to understand it, but you have to know the history when you coming in here to take this job.
Right.
You got to understand, all right, those fans are so boisterous. The pain is deep.
Right.
It's in the bottom of the stomach. It's from grandfather to father, from father to son.
Right.
You see, the people that we loved and were near and dear, they were Knicks fans.
Right.
The people that they loved were near and dear, they were Knicks fans.
Yeah, my uncle through marriage, right? Uncle Melvin, me and him used to sit out on a porch and drink beer, whatever. He like, I don't know what it is with old dudes. They love them strong, nasty beers, bro. Yeah, let me get a Schlitz. A Schlitz. What you saying?
Yo, it's that Machi, and you know it tastes nasty to them too, because it tastes nasty to you, and you're like, I know you don't like what you're drinking.
I can smell it out of your bottle.
Out of your bottle, out of your pores, but you know what? You look so damn cool drinking it.
Right.
And the stuff you gonna say or the stuff you said sound like I should be repeating this. But I know that beer is disgusting.
Right. Like you drinking a Colt 45?
Oh
really? How? Right? How? They like, yo, they be like, Uncle Freezie, but Bud Light tastes like water. Okay. It's smooth. Okay. I'm good with that. Right? I can't do it, bro.
English.
Oh God, please.
I remember my friend bought me a 40-ounce bottle. First and last time I ever drank a 40-ounce. I didn't drink the whole thing. For my 18th birthday, my friend D, shout out D, Damon, wherever you are, you see this. My 18th birthday, he bought me a 40-ounce bottle of Old English. Yeah, coming home on the bus in the brown paper bag,
Yeah.
He gave it to me, and I didn't know how to say no because one, it was my birthday, and
Right.
two, that's my man, and he bought it for me.
Right.
And three, without all these girls on the back of the bus, and you can't look like a punk in front of all these girls.
Right.
Right. And I've had beer before, actually, of course.
Right.
But there's something about a 40-ounce that it fills up. It feels like it's in your nostrils.
Yes.
When I tasted it, I was like, oh my God. In my head, I'm going, this is the nastiest shit in life. What is this? And I drunk like maybe like a quarter of it. And D is swinging it.
Yeah. That's what they,
D is knocking it. I'm 18, D is 19. So he ain't that much older than me, right? But he's knocking it down like he 40.
Right.
Knocking it down. And I somehow was able to, the girls on the back of the bus was like, oh my God, Anthony. Because they used to call me, because, I'm from, Jamaican culture and everything. And I used to wear dating myself, a lot of travel fox shoes, right?
AD, you
So,
damn right. AD, come on, bro. AD, don't do this to yourself, bro. AD, don't do this, bro. I'm going to edit this shit out of it. I'm going to edit this out of the... Don't do this, bro. AD, man.
I used to have on, because I had like different colors of travel fox, and they used to call me Fox, right? Call me Fox, and they were talking to me or whatever, and that's how I got out of drinking the rest of that 40-ounce. So I took it off the bus with me, and the garbage can in the corner, I just dropped it in the garbage can and bought like this is before they were selling bottles of water. I think I bought like some Jolly Ranchers and stuff to go home so I wouldn't smell like beer.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah.
This is so funny. Uncle Melvin, and to your point, peer pressure is something. But to your point though, Uncle Melvin used to quiz me on the Knicks because he couldn't believe he met a Knicks fan in South Carolina. So he used to quiz me, right? Because he left from where we live at now and moved to the city when he was about 19. Right. And so he was there when they drafted Willis Reed. He was there during the time. He was like, yo, and this is about, what year is this? So this must be about 19. I don't want Mo for. So this might be about 1992-ish or something like that. Something like that. I can't remember. But he's like, yo, you know what the Knicks need? We need a point guard. We ain't had nothing but one, our whole friend, and this is 92, bro. I was like, yo, what about Michael Ray Richardson? And he was like, yo, Michael Ray would have been great if he'd have kept his nose clean, but I was in the city, and Michael Ray Richardson didn't care about basketball.
No.
And I was like, what? He's like, no, bro, I'm telling you, I was there. And see, when I was there, I was a kid. I was like, 12, 13. I didn't understand it. Right? I didn't understand why he would show up to the game at tip-off. Like, why are you showing up to the game at tip-off?
Or not show up at all.
Right. I'm like, this dude walked into the locker room with sneakers on his shoulder at tip-off. He ain't even got his uniform on. Yeah. But anyway, he's like, Uncle Melvin used to tell me back then, this is 30-something years ago, 30 years ago. He's like, yo, the Knicks need a point guard, and until we get one, we ain't gonna never win a championship. I was like, Uncle Melvin, don't say that. You know what I'm saying? We'll win a championship. Says this is like 92. I was like, yeah, we'll win a championship in about 5 years. He's like, nah, bro. You need a dynamic point guard right now. No, this must have been about 90s. I'm sorry, it must have been about 98, 97, 98. And so I'm like, man, what are you saying? And so he used to go down the list of all the. You remember Dick Barnett? I'm like, man, of course I don't remember Dick Barnett. You know what I'm saying? That's like asking people in this chat right here. You remember when the Knicks drafted Michael Ray Richardson and Mike Woodson back to back? No,
they don't.
Of course they don't.
They don't.
Of course they might have been alive, right? But they don't remember stuff like that.
But but to it though, when you come in and take this job, Freezie, you gotta walk the streets. You gotta feel what it is, the vibration from the fans that, like I said, from grandfather to father, from father to son. Right. And why is it that we love? Why is it that Brooklyn can get 3 of the best players in the last generation and have zero buzz?
Zero buzz.
Right? If you ask KD now, if he was being really honest, did I really make a mistake in going to Brooklyn? Of course you did.
Of course you did.
Of course you did. And I'm not even hating on Brooklyn, but someone asked me, like, what is it like? I said, it's like having a banana and there's only one gorilla in the city.
Right.
They're not a gorilla. We're the gorilla.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
And if anybody's gonna eat, we're gonna eat.
Right. And
you could have some mangoes, because
you can have it.
Do I like mangoes better than banana? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yo, I do this. I do this mango salsa when the homies come over. They laugh. They're like, man, you in there trying a mango salsa? This sounds so soft. Where the chips at? I can't have mango salsa without chips on the freezer. And I'm like, wait a minute, you criticizing me, but you telling me to hurry up and make it.
Yeah,
but anyway, let me do this real quick. Let me just do this real quick because we getting like scrunched for time, man. Wow.
We right there. We over.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So let's do the once a Knick, always a Knick thing, and then
absolutely.
And then if we can get back to the other stuff, we'll get back to it.
Okay.
So ladies and gentlemen,
baseline. You went and got fancy on us.
Chuck Allen.
Got fancy on us.
Hey, shout out to Chuck. Hey, so ladies and gentlemen, our featurette this week for Once a Knick, Always a Knick is about Latrell Sprewell. He played 5 seasons with the Knicks, averaged 17.9 points a game, 4.1 boards, 3.8 assists, 1.3 steals, and most of all, he brought a mental toughness to the Knicks backcourt that we had been missing for a while. Now with us, people want to say he played small forward. I'm here to tell you that the Knicks played a 3-guard offense.
Yes.
Right. With Van Gundy ran 3 guards, a point guard, Houston, and Sprewell. Right.
The fire-breathing dragon.
Yes. Yes. I saw. Okay. So I wasn't the biggest fan of the Latrell Sprewell trade, and here's why. In a trade where one asset is coming your way, another asset has to go the other way.
Absolutely.
And that asset that went to Golden State for Sprewell was John Starks.
Yes.
And it broke my heart.
Yes.
Right? It absolutely broke my heart because when I get attached to players, it seemed like they always go. It's like, so here's the thing. I referenced Knicks guard who didn't have his heart into basketball, Michael Ray Richardson, but I loved him, right? But in order for us to get Bernard King, we had to trade Michael Ray Richardson.
Yeah.
Right? So the Sprewell thing, while during those years it was hard for me to have a favorite Knick because all the Knicks players play their heart out every night. I don't know how I feel about Sprewell. You got any love for Sprewell that you want to share?
Absolutely.
Oh, memories. Okay.
He was just, as I said before, fire-breathing dragon.
Right.
Sprewell came to the Knicks, and the only reason why the Knicks was able to get Sprewell is what he was coming off of, which was a suspension. You know, he choked his coach, PJ Carmissimo.
Yep.
You know, Sprewell was, you know, the poster child for that era or those individuals that were drafted maybe 2 or 3 years prior to the incident and going forward, because Sprewell was drafted in what, 96, I think?
No.
Was it what, 95?
No.
Was it previous to that?
Yes.
Okay, but he's
so let me build up some things to you. So Latrell Sprewell played on one of the greatest college basketball teams.
Yes.
Never to win a championship.
Yes.
So at point guard, they had a dude named James Hollywood Robinson.
Yes.
Who reminded you of a dude named Pearl Washington. Anybody in here remember Pearl Washington? Chat. Y'all remember
Facts.
Pearl Washington?
Facts.
Hollywood Robinson reminded you of him, right? They had a guy that could shoot named Judd Bushler, right? A guy that can flat out shoot it. They had a center named Robert Horry.
Yes,
right.
And he was 6'9" center.
He's 6'9" center, and he did everything. He ran point for Alabama. Robert Horry did everything for Alabama, right? Yeah. He was the starting point guard, but you know what I'm saying. He could ball handle, make plays,
right?
All those type of things, right? Shoot the three. Oh my goodness, dunk. Right, and so Latrell Sprewell came out in the 1992 NBA draft, and the reason why I'm frustrated is the reason why I'm frustrated is because that year the Knicks could have selected Latrell Sprewell, but they chose to draft Hubert Davis.
Yeah. It's one of those things where the Knicks needed a shooter. And Hubert Davis coming from North Carolina kind of fit the bill. It's not best player, it's need. And, you know, I always say this about Sprewell. By the time he got to the Knicks and having that year off, he lost some things in his game because he was a much better ball handler than he was by the time he got to the Knicks.
Right.
If you see his prime years, which is from what, 93 to 97, he's averaging somewhere between 23 to 26 points per night. And this is after, because remember, Tim Hardaway Jr. had gotten hurt. They had already moved on from Mitch Richmond. The Run TMC era was over. And it was for like a year, it was Spree and Weber. Yeah. Then they got rid of Weber, and it was like totally Spree show. Yeah. And then what happened with PJ happened, and the Knicks
they didn't get rid of Weber, though.
No,
Weber had a loophole in his contract.
Right, they didn't get rid of Weber. Weber bounced on them.
Yeah.
Right, Weber bounced on them because them foolishly giving the overall #1 pick a loophole in his contract where he could escape after 1 year, and that leaves Sprewell alone. By the time they got him, the Knicks needed, and this is to their credit for Checketts and those guys, they kept trying to reinvent themselves. They kept trying, and when I say reinvent themselves, well, they kept trying at the elusive championship because Jordan wasn't in their way anymore, but they were still trying to catch this championship while holding on to Patrick.
Right.
And that year was the strike year. Patrick being the head of the union, whatever he's in name only or whatever. It's a strike shortened year. Patrick is not in shape coming into training camp.
Nope.
You see it because he gets injured several times, culminating finally with injuring his Achilles, and he's not there for the 1999 finals appearance. He gave them what he had in the first 2 rounds, but in round 3 and in the final round, he was not there.
He wasn't there.
But Sprewell gave the Knicks, that particular team, he kind of gave them what they lost in Starks, in attitude, but just a little better scoring punch or more consistent scoring punch. And that was a tremendous ride because the elimination game, Sprewell has, I think he had a triple-double. I think he had, 35, 10, and 9, something like that. He had a ridiculous game. What was that, game 5, game 6?
Right.
But they made for a good tandem, Sprewell, Houston, but they couldn't share the backcourt. And it seemed like Sprewell was the 3 because he kept coming off the bench. And, him and, he used to post up. Houston used to post up. So my memory really is that 99 season with him, Camby, Chris Childs, Dudley, Ewing.
The athletes. You remember the 99 team remind me of when the athletes invaded. Right? So you had you had your Cambys and your Sprewells, your Chris Childs, your Charlie Ward. People don't look at Charlie Ward. Don't look at Charlie Ward as a great athlete.
Tremendous athlete.
But he may have been one of the best athletes we ever had at point guard.
On that team.
Yes. Charlie Ward won the Heisman.
Charlie won the Heisman.
Charlie Ward threw touchdowns at Florida State. Charlie Ward threw touchdowns to a dude named Kevin Knox.
Yeah. And if he's being truthful, the only reason why Charlie Ward chose basketball over football was because he was not going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
At that time, now
he knew this. Now it's different.
Yeah, now
it's different because an athlete at the position is what you're basically, looking for, asking for. Look at what's the name in Baltimore. He's just Charlie Ward 30 years later. Right. But he was Charlie Ward was definitely a point guard that maybe came a football player that came along too early, but the Sprewell, he just was that kind of energy that he seemed to fit seamlessly in the area. Remember the commercial when the girl is braiding his hair and they're playing it to what's my man with the guitar that passed away in the 60s? The black rocker. You know what I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about. I can't remember.
And they're playing the Star Spangled Banner and they're doing his hair and they're playing it with his guitar solo.
Right.
And that's kind of like who he was as he comes into this city. He embraced it, and more than anything else, we embraced him.
Right.
And just one of those things. We fell short, but it's one of those rides like '94. We haven't really touched on '99 in depth, but '99. No, we touched on it, but we didn't touch on it in depth. We didn't really get, like how we give '94 deference and stuff like that. 99 was just one of those years.
You talking about Jimi Hendrix?
Jimi Hendrix, yes.
Okay, all right.
I remember the commercial with them playing the Star Spangled Banner with Jimi Hendrix solo, and they're like, because remember at that time, that's when the whole braids thing was hot.
Yeah.
For black male athletes, when the whole braids thing, the cornrows thing was hot,
and 50-inch necklaces,
and 50-inch necklaces, and super baggy clothing, and guys who were 180 pounds wearing 4X shirts.
Wow.
Because
that was just
that was the look.
That's one style.
That was the time, and
the super baggy pants is one style I can't get over. And another style that I was a part of, the bell-bottom pants. I could not. I don't know what bell-bottoms were, bro. Yeah, I used to wear bell-bottoms, and it used to like switch your ankle. I don't like that.
It was just it was the look, and shout out to Latrell Sprewell, because he, as time went on, he went to the Western Conference Finals with Minnesota.
Right.
And then he got, I don't want to say blackballed, but he made the media presented that he turned down a deal from Minnesota at that time, which was like $30 million for 3 years. And then he never got another contract again. And that was it.
How am I going to feed my family on this was a quote.
Because they quickly, and that's what it is when we as folks believe everything from a soundbite or a so-called soundbite, because I don't think I ever heard him say that, but that's what was thrown out there. How can I feed my family with $10 million a year for 3 years after he had helped Minnesota get to the Western Conference Finals? Now, I'm sure if you asked him today, he'd probably tell you, I never said that.
Right.
And
because you know what else? He never had a real beef with the Knicks. After his playing career was over, the organization he chose to come back to was not Minnesota, was not Golden State. It was the Knicks.
Well, I don't want to. I think I want to leave off on a positive light, not a negative light, because he wasn't invited back for several years.
Okay.
Because when they traded him and Camby in the winter of 2002, it was on the extreme direction from one James Dolan.
Right.
They laughed at him during one of his performances or solos that he was trying to perform in front of the team or whatever. I don't know why he decided to have a rock concert in front of the team or whatever Newt Rockney speech he was trying to give in front of the team. And Camby and Sprewell walked out. And then he ordered, what is that? The general manager at the time that came from Utah. I always forget his name because he was one of the worst things
he was what's the name, son?
Layden.
Layden, yeah.
He ordered Layden to trade them. And we know what happened after that, Yeah. The Michael Sweetneys of the world and stuff like that. And Howard Isley, Shannon Anderson's, came upon. So I want to leave off on a positive note. So yes, Freezie, Latrell Sprewell is once a Knick, always going to be a Knick, and he helped us get to a heights at that particular year that I don't think that we realized that we were going to get to, being the 8th seed. Because remember, we beat Miami, in a 5-game series, and he was a big part of that.
He was a big part of the defense on Jamal Mashburn. Don't forget.
Yes.
Sprewell's defense on Jamal Mashburn won that series because all those games came down to 1 or 2 possessions. Or it seems like they came down to 1 or 2 possessions.
It was very close.
Yeah. And Jamal Mashburn was off all series because of the defense because Dan Marley tried to keep him in it. Remember Dan Marley?
Yeah. Thunder Dan.
Yeah.
Thunder Dan. Those were just some tremendous times. You know what I mean? The 90s, as we picked up from last week into this week, as far as, what it means to us, 94, what 99 meant to me was just a year that I didn't expect per se.
Right.
But you can't give back. and the games were just so, beating Miami in 5, beating Atlanta in, beating Miami in 5, beating Atlanta in 4, beating Indiana in 6. It was just, he was a part of it. He was a major part of it. And we can never forget him. So shout out to Latrell Sprewell, who made the Spree rims also.
Yeah. And so I got one more feature that I want to do before we get out of here, right?
Yes, sir.
I got one more feature I want to do, and I'll start it off. All right, everybody. So take this ride with me, man. I want to put y'all in the Wayback Machine, man, just for a few minutes, okay? I want y'all to take this trip with me, okay? Imagine you are the Knicks front office. You're Phil Jackson, right? And a dude named Maurice Endower puts back the worst game winner. I'm still speechless about that play. But that's not where I want to take you on this fantastic voyage. On this fantastic voyage, I want to take you to the podium of the NBA draft when David Stern says, with the 4th pick in the NBA draft, the New York Knicks select Kristaps Porzingis out of Latvia. Right? Uncle Freezie loses his cool. I fall on the floor. No, not a stiff, not a Darko, not a Nicholas Skidishvili. Right? This is what I'm thinking when it happens, right? In real time. And so what I want you to do is go back to the time when you hear Kristaps Porzingis' name. Right? At the time, we think the Knicks have drafted a big stiff that's going to embarrass us every night, right? But what happens is the kid comes to camp and is dunking on our centers. Little buzz, little something. Hey, this kid might not be a big stiff. He might actually be a decent NBA player, not a rotation player, not a starter. And then training camp comes, you continually hear things leaking out of Knicks practices like, hey, this dude knocked down 9 threes in a scrimmage. And you're like, 9 3-pointers in a scrimmage? All of a sudden, your mind starts to race like, he's dunking on people and he's shooting threes? And then you hear like little things, man. This kid Porzingis squatted Carmelo's shot like 5 times in practice. Just little stuff leaking onto Twitter and the internet or whatever. And we play. I forget what team Kevin Love played for, but our shot, I think it's Jarrett Jack, shot hits the front of the rim, hits the back of the rim, and comes flying off the backboard. And Porzingis runs past guards that are not boxing out and puts back the shot on Kevin Love.
Yes.
And Kevin Love turns around and wants to push whoever it is, and he's looking up like,
Who is this dude?
Yes, where'd you come from? You're supposed to be a stiff. When I started boxing out, you were over there. How'd you get here? And so on this fantastic voyage, what I wanted to do was talk about something positive. The early Porzingis years, AD. were more positive, in my opinion, than we would like to reflect on. And the fact that he came from nowhere and everywhere at the same time makes this a fantastic voyage for me.
I'm gonna stay right there with you, and I'm gonna attribute this to Langston Galloway. Because remember, that season before we got Porzingis, the last 15 games or so, Langston Galloway single-handedly might have won like 5.
Yep.
And the top 3 players at the time was coming out was Russell, the big from Duke,
Jahlil
Okafor, who had the worst footwork for a big that I'd ever seen.
He was so out of shape.
Man, out of shape, and Porzingis. And I remember thinking at the time was like, yo, the Knicks are allowing Galloway to ruin us getting overall #1 pick.
Right.
Because he had single-handedly won like 3 to 5 games.
I think it was the Sixers? He got hot in the fourth quarter.
He beat a few teams.
Yeah.
Langston Galloway literally beat a few teams by himself.
Right.
And he was just one of those finds that, and the funniest thing is, that's the last season he played with the Knicks. It's almost like they were pissed at him that he did all of that, but you didn't stop him, and you end up getting the 4th pick. And those are some of the years where, I was deeply entrenched in scouting because we sucked.
Yeah.
Right? And I came home one night from a night of,
stuff.
Being AD out in these streets. And it was late. It was late. It might have been like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I remembered one of my basketball guys, told me like, yo, the Knicks may draft this big kid, watch him. So I'm watching whatever tape and stuff that I saw of this kid. And I was like, the next day I said to the person, I was like, yo, Phil Jackson doesn't have the cojones or the stuff to draft this dude. It was like, yo, why do you sound so yo? He is 7'3", 7'4", and mess his physical attributes because he was like, a beanpole. He can flat out play because he was playing in the Spanish league with Billy Hermungus or Hermin Gomez. Excuse me.
And a 15-year-old point guard named Luka Doncic.
Yeah, they were on the same team, and he could flat out shoot. And I said, that jumper is wet. Whatever we had to do, let's make sure we get this kid. But I said, he doesn't have the stuff to draft him. And he falls to us, and we draft him. And it seemed like all of a sudden the NBA gods had reversed course. Reversed course. Because I remember that night when he put the ball behind his back and he dunked on Draymond Green.
Yep, against Draymond Green. That was a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, Sunday afternoon.
ABC game. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, oh, this dude is not a stiff. Because it was like he arrived on that one play.
Right.
And he seemed to keep getting better. Although the Knicks' relationship with Carmelo was getting worse, he was getting better.
Right.
He seemed to be getting better. No, he was getting better. He was getting better.
He was getting better.
So finally, they moved Carmelo, and he's the centerpiece.
Yep.
And then the injuries and stuff starts piling up. And, injuries, environmental waste. I sound like waste management. Family distortions, his brother.
Giannis, yeah.
And him feeling himself, and it's no longer positive anymore. But to your point early on, it seemed like we were finally there. Like we finally had that guy that was going to take us and attract. Remember when KD called him the unicorn?
The unicorn, yes.
And the nickname spread like wildfire. Like, oh my God.
we hadn't even played them yet, remember?
Yeah, like wow, KD done took notice of
it, and we ain't even played them yet.
Wow, maybe KD want to play with him.
Yep.
Maybe that's gonna be our attraction. And we heard that Westbrook liked him, and maybe Westbrook wants to play with him.
Right. And then the kicker, I think the thing that sent it over top, not to cut you off, AD, but the thing that took him over the top was he got a post entry pass and the guard took off to go back to the perimeter. And LaMarcus Aldridge stared him in the eyeballs like it's me and you. And Porzingis charged at him in the rim and threw it down on LaMarcus Aldridge, belly to belly and chest to chest, right? And LaMarcus Aldridge tried to push him, and the Spurs was like, nah, bro, he just got you. His own teammates were like, no, bro, he got you. You don't be out here wilding. And the Knicks fans was like coming up off the bench, like, yo, this is crazy. We got us one. Right. And then he hit a three, and Knicks fans started sleeping well at night. Because you got a 7'3" power forward that can dunk on people and shoot the three.
And it didn't hurt that he white.
It didn't hurt. And it didn't hurt also that he was clean cut, corporate looking. We don't know what he did behind the scenes, but on the court, he looked the part.
Well,
right?
we since learned a lot of things that was happening behind the scenes, but it's one of those things, and I said it at the time, and I'll always remain saying this. It's like, if you're gonna move your crown jewel, it better not be for Kansas Fried Chicken.
Yeah, and it was.
It's
the gift that keeps on giving. We got Cam Reddish out of the deal.
When Mills, and this is one of the things why I've always thought that this management regime should have moved on from Perry, because Perry was here at the time.
Right.
When you hired Fizdale and no one in upper management wanted to go meet with the kid, you send Fizdale because he has his pretty wife. His first thing was go meet with a guy that's possibly never going to play for you, because he never played for Fizdale.
Right.
In the 2 years Fizdale, or the year and a half that Fizdale was here, he was hurt.
He was injured.
He never suited up for Fizdale.
Yeah.
But management, in the course that they was on at that time, decided, we're too good to jump in the G5 and get there in 4 hours to go meet with the crown jewel, to go straighten this out. We're gonna send a guy who's fresh into the organization.
The only thing he wanted to do was win, though, bro.
He wanted to win. I think that him and his family, him and his brother, was making power plays because the organization was weak. And they thought
AD was the organization weak.
Well, not weak in status.
No, I'm here to tell you that I agree with his stance that this organization was weak. The thing that pissed Mills, if Steve Mills, right? If you're gonna be pissed off that the dude make a suggestion, how about do some stuff right? The only thing he did, and this is the reason why Frank Ntilikina is no longer here. The only thing Porzingis did wrong that was way out of line and shit could have been done better is when he marched into their office and told them not to draft Knox and to move up in the draft and draft Luka because he played with him for like 3 seasons. Right? He was like, he heard where they going, and him as the star player is like, yo, don't draft Kevin Knox. Draft Luka. And they like, yo, you talking about the dude on the grainy videos? He ain't gonna be no good. He fat.
I agree with him.
240-pound point guard.
I agreed with him.
But how did that work out?
But here's the
and then
Yeah,
trade up for Luka.
but here's the thing. I agreed with not them. I agreed with him.
Right.
Because he's the crown jewel.
Right.
Why am I not getting pieces that fits well with him?
Right.
Why am I getting pieces that you think would fit well with him, or what you think is gonna work?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You gotta take advice. If this kid is here, he's watching all this, this unsureness, this confusion in the organization, and you don't know what to do.
Right.
If nothing else, why am I not going to appease him?
Right. And he knows who he wants to play with.
And he knows who he wants to play with. And you're weak. At that time, you let go Phil Jackson. You have all this unsurety in the front office. He sees you're weak.
Right.
His brother is like, yo, I can help you get European talent.
Right.
Make me the GM. And they're looking at him like,
no. Right.
Sorry.
Okay. All right, AD. That was the fantastic voyage, bro.
Right. We'll close out.
So we're running a little bit behind. Let me run this real quick.
I'm gonna need you to change that host to star. Okay?
I know.
You gotta stop acting like I'm not Eddie Kane in this jump off, yo.
Okay.
Stop treating me like I got on the glitter suit at the end when they see it.
Did you not had on for like 2 weeks straight?
He had on for 2 weeks straight.
And Eddie Kane still got on the suit he got fired in.
He picked it out. He went.
I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed when I saw that, bro.
Oh my God, dude.
It was so awkward.
That is moment. He's like, times like this, I wish raindrops could. But Uncle Freezie, yet again, another great show.
Right.
I want to salute to the fans and the people who are here watching and so forth. I'm glad you could be here with us on this Sunday journey as we keep journeying to. We're going to journey to we win a championship. We're going to journey to we're here talking about how good it was to win the championship.
All right, AD, it's over. They got their money worth. It's over.
Okay.
We'll be back next week.
All right.
AD, hang out for a split second, okay? All right, y'all. We out of here. Peace.
Salute.